So after we recorded our trailer for Mission Impossible, we headed out to a little town called Moose Pass, which was the halfway point on our way to Seward.
So we've just arrived at our home for tonight, Trail Lake Lodge. Here it is. I'll show you the inside later. They love it. They love a stuffed bear over here and a stuffed moose and stuffed lots of things really. But the journey here was not very nice. It was really windy, quite cold, but really windy and grey and cloudy and not very nice. Wind is my least favourite weather to ride in. Rain, you know, it's not great, you just get wet, but wind always makes me a little bit nervous. But anyway, that is the view. And the water is almost a kind of green colour. Isn't that beautiful? And there's a derelict bus, but you know, you can't have everything, can you? Anyway, the accommodation, there's a restaurant, I use the word loosely, downstairs, but I can literally feel our arteries hardening. All I can hear is a deep fat fryer. So there's a little grocery store across the road, so we're just going to go and see what we can find in there, because maybe we'll do something else. But look, nice, eh? We asked the guy in the I'm not going to call it a hotel, we asked the guy in the lodging whether there were,
Oh look, you need to be up there.
whether there are bears or what we need to, you know, whether we could go for a little walk. He replied he never goes out without a gun. I'm like, okay, well we don't have a gun, but what we do have is this, look.
Oh,
that.
oh. That's to let the bears know that we're coming.
Because that's to let the bears and the moose, because it's the moose that we've got to be worried about here apparently, to know we're coming, because you can't just sneak up on them. But it's not very effective unless I like swing about.
We've got to walk across that bridge. It's a railway bridge.
Can you hear the bell? Oh wow.
So I would almost rather be eaten by a bear than put up with this incessant belling. We can't walk a metre without her doing that. Make her stop, please. So we spent the night in Moose Pass last night, which is a one-horse town, and apparently there's 79 people that live here. It's a bit rainy. It's a lot colder. In Anchorage it was 16 or 17, and here it's 5. It's really cold. So we stayed next door to this lake, and we just seen a plane is just about to take off, and as you can see it's raining. We've got proper Alaskan weather. We're doing about 50 miles a day. We're heading to a little town called Seward, which is a port, and we're staying there for one night, and then we are heading off and going to go on the other side of the Kenai Peninsula, heading towards Homer. These are invaluable. We connect our heated jackets into those.
A couple of people have asked where I sit.
Oh yeah, so we've had a few comments that people don't seem to know where Adele sits. So she sits there, and there she is, and she's going to now get on. It does take a while to sort it out. Normally I would get on first and she would get on second, but that doesn't work with these things. Yeah, she hasn't got long enough legs. Anyway, that's it. So now I have to get on like this, and then we're ready. Right, we're off. Bit of a grim day. Got to remember which side of the road I'm on. And this is the first time I've ridden with these tyres in wet weather, so I don't know how slippy they are. God, it's so heavy, it's just not funny. So, yesterday when we left the hotel in Anchorage, despite all the testing, we couldn't actually fit everything back on the bike. There is just so much stuff. So, well, we had a decision to make. What to dump. So what we've decided to do, because we're exploring the Kenai Peninsula, which is south of Anchorage, for about a week. So we have put all of the camping stuff, because clearly we're not going to camp in this. This is horrible. We put all the camping stuff. We've rented a storage lock-up room, so we bunged it all in there, with a view to picking it up on the way back. But I don't know how that's going to work, because it's still not going to go anywhere. Or maybe just decide that we're just not going to camp and send it all home. I can't believe that we'll have to do that, but there's just so much stuff. It's just, I don't know where it's going to go. So we haven't really got a plan yet. We're kind of putting it off, but it's coming.
So we came to Seward today. It wasn't that far from Moose Pass, where we were staying last night. We were expecting a sort of quaint little fishing village. There is a harbour, and we'll go down and have a look at it after we've had some lunch. Our hotel's just, I don't know, not far, about a kilometre out, and we're just walking into the town. Now, this is where all the cruises go from. That head up to the Arctic Circle. So I think maybe we were expecting it to be a bit bigger, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, it might be. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll go and investigate and make a plan while we have something to eat. So all the locals are walking around in flip-flops with no coats on, and we're walking around looking like what do we look like? Paddington.
Yeah, all wrapped up to the nines.
So we were in Seward for a night, I think. It's on the Kenai Peninsula, and there was a massive cruise ship there because it's the gateway to the Kenai National Park and the fjords. The weather wasn't brilliant, but we had a wander around the town anyway. There seemed to be two parts to it. One was up by the port, and then I found a yoga studio down in the other half of the town, where there were a few more bars and restaurants. Our next stop was Soldotna, also heading right into the centre of the Kenai Peninsula. The weather was a little bit better, and we took the opportunity to stop and have a little play with the drone before the clouds came over again. I found another yoga studio in Soldotna, hot yoga. It was heated to 40 degrees, which was a bit much even for me. But this was on the way, so fair to say Soldotna was a city of two halves. So we had a lovely little spot actually to stay in Soldotna, but the prices over here are astronomical. Supermarket prices, restaurant prices. So when we can, also we don't want to eat in a restaurant every night, we take the opportunity to cook. So this is us having a little cookout. So we had a week before we were heading up north to the Arctic Circle, and we took that week to explore southern Alaska. So we've done that a little bit, a tiny bit, and now we're heading back up north to Anchorage, where we have a few jobs to complete before we start the pretty long journey up to the Arctic Circle. To be honest, don't look directly at me because I've been on the bike all day. We had a bit of an accident with the GoPro. I was filming as we were riding and it was really windy, and this just flew off the top of the stick thing and smashed the, well, it didn't smash the lens, but it cracked it. So we stopped the bike, went back to retrieve it, but it's got scratches all over it. So yeah, we've had to go and buy another one. So much money.
Well, good morning. We're just leaving Anchorage this morning on our way up to Denali National Park, and just going to unlock the bike. We weren't entirely sure what this neighbourhood was like last night, so I put both the locks on, put the normal D-ring on, and then I put this this kind of wire chain thing. But how stupid am I? So I did this pole, but it stopped. And I can't even blame it on the fact that I turned up at night, because it's not even dark.
So we're back on the bike. We're starting to head north. Our first stop is a town called Talkeetna. We arrived in the pouring rain, and we're looking for somewhere to sit to dry off and find out when we could check in our Airbnb. We found our little cabin pretty much in the middle of nowhere, about 10 minutes outside of Talkeetna. So we went to drive off before heading back into town to have a look around. This is our little home for the next 2 nights. Very excitingly, a washer and a dryer. This is it. There's a really tiny bathroom in there, like really tiny. But we were so cold that this is very welcome. So cold. And then upstairs, there's a bike out there and not a lot else, as you can see. And then upstairs, in our new little home, which is already really hot up here, by the way. Oh, sorry, I just bumped my head. There's a little bedroom. Cute, hey? And a view from downstairs. So we're about a, I don't know, 5-10 minute drive from the town of Talkeetna. So I've taken some footage there, and we're just trying to decide whether to go out just for a little walk and whether to go to the grocery store to get some food for dinner, but it would have to be cheese on toast, I think.
So here we are on our walk around a lake in Alaska, and we just bumped into a couple, and they were talking about bears and what you should do about as you're approaching a corner, you're supposed to bang two sticks together. So she now has her sticks.
No, they're damp, and it's not the couple, it's from Parent Trap, Chelsea.
They are pathetic.
Come on, well, it's damp.
Yeah, yeah. That's not going to scare anybody away. Not that we're paranoid or anything.
I've forgotten my bell.
Thank God for that.
So Talkeetna is like going back into a town built in the 1900s. This is the supermarket where we went to see what we could find for dinner. Again, very expensive. The mayor of Talkeetna is a cat, and I believe hotly contested for the seat is being challenged by a dog. It's only 60 miles from Mount McKinley, also known as Denali, which is quite confusing. So it's the staging post for mountaineering trips and flights onto the glacier. It's where three rivers meet, and that's quite a scary thing because it's such fast running water. So we had a look around and we went for a walk, and we could have been sort of in a Wild West set, really.
Funny, that's a serious matter.
I know, because isn't a cat the mayor at the moment?
No, that cat's dead, buried.
I don't know if you can see how fast flowing that is, but you would not want to get caught in that. So we were back on the bike, we got it down to a fine art, we were in bed having a cup of tea at 9 and we were on the bike and on the road by 10. The landscape started changing as we headed over to Denali and the Denali National Park. It was a nice ride, it was probably about 3 hours, but it was very beautiful and blue skies. We've just passed Denali and we're on the lookout for our lodgings, which when we found them, fortuitously, were opposite a pub. We're about 10 miles north of Denali Park, so we've got tickets to go into the park tomorrow, and this is our little home for tonight. We're in number 8. Get ready for a treat. And this is us. So I've been to the supermarket and I am just, there's a tiny little fridge and a microwave. Not sure how I feel about it being in the bathroom, but anyway. So I'm just going to make some lunch to take on our hike tomorrow. But it won't be like this outside, but it'll be raining. Just arrived at Denali State Park and we have just bought our national park ticket. Actually, it's not bad. It's $80 for all the parks in the US, and they do it by like per car full. Anyway, our bus isn't for an hour. We've got to, it's a 43-mile drive into the centre of Denali when we can then get off and go for a bit of a hike.
Maintained trails. You'll find most of the trails at the east end of the park. No gravel maintained trails in the East Fork River area.
The bus tour wasn't really quite what we expected, but although I particularly wasn't happy sitting on the bus for hours and hours and hours, it turned out that you couldn't go past 15 miles in Denali Park without being on a bus. So actually we did get to see much more than we would have otherwise done had we just run in on the bike on our own. So, Alaska. There's a lot to say, and I have got some really good facts about Alaska. One, it's really, really cold. It wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be 70 degrees. That's why we came here now, but it isn't. Pretty gorgeous though. I've been summoned. I can't tell you how desperate I am to get out walking. It's like torture sitting on the bus. He's as elusive as the animals. So the only trails that there are that we could access are right near the visitors centre. Once you get past the 15-mile mark, there aren't any trails. It's all just rough bush like this, which could make for a particularly difficult hike. There are numerous bears and moose in the park, and sort of on reflection, we had so many warnings about the bears. If we were in Africa, I wouldn't really suggest to Tim that we went for a walk in the Serengeti. So, a la Africa, Alaska also has a big five. They have moose, bears, wolves, caribou or reindeer, and Dall sheep. Not the sort that like an Indian, they're just called Dall sheep. Alaska has three of the largest national parks in the whole of the United States. It's got 12,000 rivers and 3 million lakes. Can you believe it?
So we are in Denali National Park and we have just been on a bus for the last 4.5 hours. And it was not what we thought it was going to be.
And it's raining, surprisingly.
It's raining. So we got off the bus and now we're walking 2 or 3 miles back to the start. And yeah, the park is quite big. We found out that if you wanted to go to the other side and back in a bus, it would take you 13 hours. So it's huge.
Thankfully we could only go 4 because there was a landslide. I think this is right.
Anyway, we're heading back to the town now to explore that, and then we found a pub last night that sells sort of Guinness, so we're going to go there.
But we can almost walk to it. Well, we can walk to it, not almost, but you can't really walk anywhere here, like to shops and restaurants and things. Everything is, you have to have a car. But this one we can walk to. We take our life in our hands, by the way, but you know, anything for a glass of wine.
Yeah. I'd even fight a bear. Here comes Rudolph. So when it stops raining and you can see it, it's absolutely beautiful. And so is the view.
Funny guy. So we owe you a bit of an update about the camping situation. We trialled it at home in Whitstable, as you know, but by the time we got here, I don't know whether it was just me on the back. I don't know what the problem was, but when we got to Anchorage and headed off down south to the south of Alaska, we had so much stuff that we felt quite unsafe on the bike. It was too heavy, so we put it in storage in Anchorage with a view to coming back and getting it before we headed up north.
So we when we took it out of storage, we went to UPS just to get an idea of how much it would cost to send it home. They weighed it, and it was 22 kilos.
No, it was 44 kilos.
No, it was 44 pounds. It's about 22 kilos. And I don't know where that's all come from, because we really did. Like,
it was more than 22 pounds. It was 26 pounds. I'm going to look it up. It was more than 22 pounds.
It was a lot of weight, anyway. Anyway, it was down to me. I mean, we all know that you didn't want to go camping.
No, I did.
But that wasn't the reason. I just.
Sorry. Yes. Carry on.
I'm just not sure it was worth carrying it for the amount of camping that we were actually going to do, because now we're here mean, it's bloody freezing for one thing. And,
it is really cold, and some of the camping spots that we wanted to go to, for instance Yellowstone, Yosemite, we're having a nightmare trying to get in. But even Yellowstone was $150, wasn't it?
for camping.
For camping.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of money, really.
Anyway, so the next bit, when we leave here, we are going to be faced with the Dalton Highway, and I'm a bit worried about that anyway, 2 up, and I'd be extra worried about it with all the camping stuff. So we've kept some of it, we've kept all the cooking stuff, but anyway.
It's cooking on balconies and car parks and in hotel rooms. Food is so expensive here, but even to buy. So
yeah, it's cheaper to go out.
It is. I bought lunch for us to bring out today, and it was $60. Granted, I bought a big packet of nuts, so even if you take that away, it was $40, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Anyway,
We
so
had the sandwiches.
I'm sorry everybody that wants to see Adele suffering camping, but it's not going to happen now, and it's my fault. So
It was Tim's decision, I've got to say.
yeah, it was. Anyway,
And
Don't know
I'm
what
sad
went
too.
but we're not doing it. So now we have to find a hotel every night, and what we're tending to do is
Cheap.
we go on the apps, and we do 4 or 5 days ahead. And as you can see by some of the rooms that we're staying in, they're not the most expensive.
We play bathroom roulette as to whether it's shower worthy or sock worthy. Do we keep our socks on and off in the room? Is kind of the.
Yeah, and if you can see the carpet moving.
So far it's 50-50.
Anyway, so there you go. So we've just seen our first moose, and let me tell you, they're actually quite big. We're supposed to stay 25 meters away, and we are, and if it comes at you, you have to stand by a tree because they've got bad eyesight. Well, we've got to go past it. There's some people coming up.
I'm all the way over here, by the way. With this. I don't know if it works on a moose. So someone said to us that they are very slow until they're not, which is probably very good advice. And then to stand behind a tree if they come for you, because their eyesight isn't very good. Okay, apparently bye-bye Mr. Lucy doesn't really work. So this is Denali, it's sort of at the entrance to the state park. And we're just having a little look around the town before we head back to our motel. One-stop shop. I wonder if it'll be as interesting as the one in Talkeetna. I don't know what you call it, but yeah. All important motorbike shop, just not one of ours. Getting petrol, ready to start the epic journey tomorrow up to the Arctic Circle. Estimated journey time to our first pit stop at Yukon River Camp is 5 hours, and then, ladies and gents, it's the Dalton Highway.